This is Game Night with Josh Hennick.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Josh Hennig.
This weekend, the Philadelphia Phillies have reached a level of futility unseen in the city of Philadelphia in 6 years. I'll tell you what that is coming up this hour. The Power Hour, Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. And as always, streaming live on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. Phillies have lost 9 of the last 10 games. Zach Wheeler is back from maternity leave. He will take the mound tonight. We will see if he can stop the bleeding for the Phillies against one of the highest powered offenses in baseball, the Chicago Cubs. I want to hear what you guys have to say because, I was out and about this weekend and I had a very common sentiment, and I want to know if our audience agrees with the sentiment I was getting this weekend about the Phillies. 609-403-0973, your DMs, 973 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Let me know. Mike Gill asked the question earlier today on the Sports Bash. The question being, who do you blame? Who is to blame for the slide that the Phillies are on? What's the move that needs to be made for the Phillies? Well, when Mike Gill ran his poll question earlier today, he got 44% make a major trade, 31% said call up Justin Crawford, 13% say fire Rob Thompson, 11% said fire Dave Dombrowski. Now, I have been as critical as Dave Dombrowski as anybody in all of sports media for a very long time now. And I chuckle that some people are slowly coming to my side of this argument. But you know what? Welcome to the party. But I also am well aware that Dave Dombrowski is not getting fired. There is a relationship between the Phillies owner John Middleton and Dave Dombrowski. The organization views him in many ways like Pat Gillick all those years ago. There is an attitude in that organization that Dave Dombrowski, it's basically his operation to run, how he sees fit. And I get that he has the resume, okay? The man has taken 4 different ball clubs to a World Series. He's won 2. He's also lost 3. So, but he's done something that very few executives in baseball history have ever done. So I totally understand that. But I also am well aware that I still point to him for why the Phillies are on the futile slide they are. Now, I'm surprised more people didn't say from Mike Gill's poll earlier today, fire Rob Thompson or call up Justin Crawford. Okay, that totaled only 45% of the votes altogether. And the reason why I'm surprised is because I think a lot of people, they're enamored, I'll call it, with the idea of Justin Crawford, okay? It's like when you're in a relationship and you realize over time that the person doesn't actually love you. They just love an idea they have of you. And then you realize this relationship is really going sideways, and that's why. I think a lot of people love the idea of Justin Crawford, what he could be, but don't actually know much about him. So I'm not buying into that too heavily personally. But I go back to make a major trade. Because for me, I think that this organization did a horrible job at building the roster this offseason. And if they have any hope, any faith, any belief that they want to maximize this window they are in. The window of, we have Harper, Schwarber, Realmuto, Wheeler. These guys are getting older. They're not getting younger. They're closer to the end of their careers than at the beginning. You have to go out there and win a championship. If you're serious about that, you got to make a big trade. And I was listening to Dave Gallagher earlier on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. And Dave Gallagher played Major League Baseball, for almost 10 years. Played with the Phillies for one season. And he brought up something that I had kind of been talking about out loud here, just kind of like not literally saying it, but maybe just kind of curiously thinking out loud about the future of this team. But that major trade that we're talking about, it may have to involve a guy like Bryson Stott. Because right now, as the Phillies are currently constructed, they're not winning a championship. They're a playoff team, but they're not winning a championship. You need to upgrade at least 3 positions in the diamond. And those 3 positions are probably the only positions you can upgrade because of the contracts that lock you into the others. You can't do anything with catcher or right field because the men who are playing catcher and right field are both men who are locked into contracts that are very, very, very difficult to trade. But the platoon in center field, the platoon in left field, and the young man at second base, those are the positions that if I'm the Phillies, I'm having some real conversations about right now. And part of the reason why I'm having those conversations is because, like I said, I can't do anything about Realmuto behind the plate, or Castellanos in right field. There's just nothing to be done. Bryson Stott, has 2 more years of arbitration eligibility. All right? A guy like Brandon Marsh also has multiple years of arbitration eligibility. They both have 2 years left. If I were the Phillies, I would trade both of those guys as part of a package of 1 or 2 players at the deadline. Because both of them have value because they are controllable players beyond 2025. They both cannot be free agents until the 2028 offseason. I think it's very, very simple that you got to start moving guys. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but trades have to happen. Because if they don't happen, you can't win a championship. Now, look, the slide that Phillies are in right now, it's not going to last forever, okay? At some point, Castellanos will go on a hot streak. At some point, Bryce Harper will come back. At some point, Bohm will go on a hot streak again. It's just the nature of baseball. The nature of baseball is guys go on hot and cold streaks. But what I know for a fact is the last time the Phillies lost 9 out of 10 games, it was the 2019 season. And there is one particular similarity between the two. And the similarity was they lost because their offense kept letting them down. It's a very simple equation. You look at the Phillies. In the last 5 games, they have lost 2-1, 3 times. 3. Think about how insane that is. You keep losing the same way 3 times. And I'm not saying the bullpen is not going to be a problem long term. But what I am saying is, as of right here, right now, I cannot depend on anyone not named Kyle Schwarber or Trey Turner when they come to the bat. When they're at the plate with the bat in their hands, boom. I can't rely on him, but I'm not trying to get rid of him unless I absolutely have to. Bryson Stott, he has regressed. JT Realmuto has regressed. Max Kepler, he's a waste of $10 million. Brandon Marsh has grossly regressed. So has Johan Rojas. I cannot win a championship with these players. And if you're not going to sell everybody and bail on the season, because I don't think the Phillies' game plan is to do that. I think they genuinely believe they have the talent and the players to win a championship. Then they got to start making some difficult decisions. And part of those decisions have to be, if I'm bringing Justin Crawford up, you know who I can't have on this team? Brandon Marsh. Because Brandon Marsh and Justin Crawford are both left-handed hitters. And Brandon Marsh is literally only here because of the fact that Brandon Marsh is literally only here because 3 years ago, your defense was so bad that you brought him in to save your defensive outfield. And now 3 years later, he's part of the problems on defense in that outfield. And I see what you're saying, Jeff in Ocean City at 609-403-0970 says, do you think Crawford could be the spark the Phillies need like Stocker was with the 93 Phillies? I still believe, says Jeff in Ocean City. I think Crawford could be a spark, and I think the Stocker analogy to 93 is a solid one, but there's a huge difference. 93 was a team full of guys who, when they came up to the plate, you had a level of belief and confidence in them. When I saw Darren Daulton, John Kruk, Lenny Dykstra, when I saw Jimmy Eisenreich, Pete Incaviglia, when I saw those guys at the plate, there was a level of belief that they were going to do their job. And while they might only get it done 1 to 2 times a game, there was still a belief that those men could come through when you needed them the most. And even platoon guys like Kevin Stocker and Mickey Morandini and Mariano Duncan and Milt Thompson, they all had big hits throughout that year. As the year went on, you believed, you were like, man, this team is building towards something special. This year's Phillies team does not have that lineup. In fact, I think this team would trade some of their guys to have some of the players in that lineup. There's at least 2 or 3 players on that 93 Phillies team that I think every Phillies fan would say, can we have that guy instead of who's on the team right now? Because if this team in 2025 had guys like Pete Incaviglia and Jim Eisenreich and Mickey Morandini and Mario Duncan instead of the guys they have right now, it would be a lot different conversation. It's not that I don't think Crawford can be a spark. It's that I don't know if it's enough of a spark. Because I don't know if this team needs a spark. I think this team needs a wake-up call. Cole from LBI chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, Alec Boehm has some value because he was an all-star, but Stott is going to be basically a bust. He has little value at all. Well, again, it's not about individual value, okay? And I think this is where yes, in the most literal sense, Bryson Stott as an individual doesn't have a lot of value in the most literal sense. But what I'm saying is, if you're building a package for a team that's looking to unload somebody, okay, we ran out of a ton of names last week here on 97.3 ESPN. So I'm not going to run through every single player that we did last week. But when you look around Major League Baseball, all right, with the understanding that there are a group of teams that are quickly approaching, they are not anywhere close to the wild card race. In the National League, it's the Pirates, the Marlins, and the Rockies. In the American League, it's the Athletics and the White Sox. Right now, you're waiting to see what are the Orioles, what are the Braves, what are the Nationals, what are the Diamondbacks. But those are the teams. And if you are a team that is 10 plus games under 500, like the Orioles, like the Braves, or a team that is closer to 20 games under 500, like the Pirates and the Marlins and the Rockies and the A's and the White Sox, you are all teams that value players who can play at the major league level. Bryson Stott fits that category. And you can take Stott and put him into a deal where the centerpiece is one of your bigger prospects. And you can tell that team, look, I'm giving you a big prospect and I'm giving you a starting second baseman or shortstop. Let's have a conversation. And the majority of those teams, unless they already have a starting second baseman or a shortstop, are going to say, yes, let's have that conversation. Because when you get to this point in the year, it's all about having the conversation to get a trade, not across the finish line, to the finish line to cross it. Dan from EHT chimes in. We'll get to him before we get the break at 609-403-0973. He says, that's why the 93 team was so magical. It's very uncommon, Josh. He goes on to say, I thought overreaction Mondays were only during football season. I think the Phillies win tonight and tomorrow. All teams have holes. Everyone wanted to fire Sirianni, and Hurts wasn't a franchise quarterback after week 5. Well, you're throwing a lot out there, Dan EHT. And I totally get with the overall picture you're saying that, there is a bit of an aggressive reaction after losing 9 of your last 10 games. Something that's not done in 6 years. But nothing I'm saying, Dan EHT, is necessarily different than what I've been saying for weeks. It's guys like you and Jeff from Ocean City who have been telling me here on 97.3 ESPN that you still believe that I need to have faith, I need to have patience, etc., etc. Well, I've been trying to exercise that patience. I've been trying to exercise that faith. And this team keeps proving my negative outlook more and more correct. Every week that goes by, they prove more and more why they must make trades at the deadline. And again, I'm not saying that this team is DOA. I'm not saying they're done. I'm not saying that the season's over. But what I am saying is that at some point, Dave Dombrowski needs to have an honest conversation with himself in the mirror and ask himself, what on earth did he think was going to happen and where he got this so wrong? Because the only thing the man got right this offseason was Jose Luzardo. Every other addition, every other move they make failed. And it failed at a level of uniformity that is very, very disturbing. All right, more of your text messages coming up next. 609-403-0973. Joey D. Ventnor. We'll get to your text and more. Coming up next, Josh Hennick hanging out with you in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on 97.3 ESPN.
Town Square Media has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Get these great deals today. Get a $50 gift card for just $25 at the Ravioli House or Tennessee Avenue Beer Hall. Get these great deals right now at seizethedeal.com. Don't wait any longer. Chances are these deals will sell quickly. For more info on these great deals, go to seizethedeal.com.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on a podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive and after. And when baggage claim says, have a great trip, keep on saying, you too. And keep driving safely. And you could save with Snapshot from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Maurice Piers is thrilled to host a Kick-Off the Summer event benefiting the Eagles Autism Foundation on Friday, June 13th. Join Maurice Piers for a day of summer fun featuring Eagles players, Swoop, and the Eagles cheerleaders. Get your tickets now. Many options available, from your own private VIP cabana at Pig Dog to general admission passes. Your pass includes access to Pig Dog Beach Bar, Maurice Piers Amusement Rides, and Raging Waters Water Park. Visit MauricePiers.com to purchase your tickets for the Kick-Off the Summer with the Eagles Autism Foundation on Friday, June 13th at Maurice Piers.
This Father's Day, help Dad be all he can be with a gift from the Home Depot, because he's not just Dad, he's the handyman of the house, the plumber in a pinch, and the emergency mechanic. Upgrade his gear this Father's Day with the Husky Mechanics 270-piece tool set from the Home Depot. Now on special buy for $119, a $695 value. For every kind of dad, find the perfect gift this Father's Day at the Home Depot.
It happens more than you think. A customer wants, needs the goods and services your business offers. No matter how hard they try, they can't find you, but they find your competitor right there at the top of the results page.
And even if they do find your website, when they click, it's like a ghost town.
Hello?
Outdated, not compelling, and perhaps worse, it has information that's not accurate.
Y2K?
But how do you fix that? At Town Square Interactive, we have the tools to help you maximize your online presence. Just go to mylocalcustomers.com and start by getting a free local customer analysis.
This online tool will show you just how many customers in your area you could be reaching. To get in front of those customers, we will build a premium website for your business.
One that shows up well in web searches and converts website clicks into phone calls, appointments, and foot traffic.
It's simple, it's fast, and it's affordable. Go to mylocalcustomers.com and get started by getting your free local customer analysis today.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. Phillies back home tonight as they begin a 3-game set with the Chicago Cubs. Zach Wheeler is scheduled to start tonight for the Phillies, looking to snap a 5-game losing skid. They've also dropped 9 of 10. They were swept by Pittsburgh over the weekend at PNC Park, losing 2-1. Cubs going with Matthew Boyd. The NHL Stanley Cup Finals tonight in Sunrise, Florida hosting Edmonton. It is game number 3, and the series is tied at 1 after Florida won in double overtime Friday in game 2. NBA Finals game 3 in Indianapolis on Wednesday. That series knotted up at a game apiece. Oklahoma City winning at home in game 2 Sunday night, beating Indiana 123-107. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 34 points. And the Eagles holding a mandatory minicamp on Tuesday. It's their final workout before training camp in July. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
I thought people like me didn't get addicted to drugs. That's like saying people like me don't get sick. Just like anyone can get sick, anyone can struggle with addiction. And when you're struggling, there's no shame in getting help. I'm over the shame. I know who I am, and I'm in recovery for me.
Call 844-REACH-NJ. Talk to a counselor for confidential addiction help and see if you're eligible for no-cost treatment. 844-REACH-NJ from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Good afternoon with your South Jersey weather forecast. I'm Joe Kelly. Cloud's going to be with us through the night tonight, a low temperature about 64. Tomorrow, there's a chance of showers and thunderstorms both early and late in the day. Tomorrow's high 77. The rest of the work week looks pretty dry. Actually, Thursday could be the hottest day of the year so far, with temperatures reaching a high Thursday afternoon in the upper 80s. Enjoy your evening. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. Again, scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. I'm Joe Kelly.
It's back. The planet's biggest beach party, Beachstock 2025, hits Margate on Saturday, June 28th from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Free admission and no beach badges ever. Live music, food trucks, beach sports, and more. Plus, a chance to meet Miss New Jersey. Don't miss the Twilight Bonfire, Moana 2 at sunset, and the New Jersey British Invasion rocking the beach at night. Park and ride the free jitney all day. Get all the details at MargateHasMore.com. Beachstock 2025. Thanks to our friends at the New Jersey Lottery. Play the Sure Thing scratch-offs today.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
We'll go back to the text board in just a moment at 609-403-0973. If you missed my article at 973ESPN.com, for those who didn't see the news, second-team All-Pro cornerback Jair Alexander was released by the Packers. Now, for those who don't know the whole story, Jair Alexander is considered one of the best corners in football, but he's been injured a lot the last couple of years. He has only played in 14 games the last 2 seasons, 7 each year. And so the question is, if the Eagles were to add a veteran, who should they add? So we'll throw that into the conversation. I gave 4 names in the article. Obviously, Alexander is one of the veterans who's available in free agency or available via trade. You also got Justin Simmons, who plays safety. And I threw in 2 other names who are pass rushers. Obviously, Trey Hendrickson is a big name because he's been demanding a trade or a new contract from the Bengals. He's in the final year of his deal. And I threw out there Von Miller just because of the fact that I think that having a veteran guy on this team would be good for the locker room. A locker room that's got almost 50 guys who are 25 or younger heading in the training camp right now. So, I mean, I would like to see some veteran leadership. I think having a veteran on this team would be good, but something for you guys to chew on. You can check that out over at 973ESPN.com. As promised, back to the text board, 609-403-0973. Andrew Summers points says, I'll take Dave Hollins over Alec Boehm. I think a lot of Philly fans would. And it's not because I think people hate Alec Boehm. I think there's a perception about Boehm that's unfair. You know, Boehm is a good baseball player, all right? He has improved his defense tremendously over the last few years. The last 2 years particularly, he has had almost 100 RBI each year. So he's proven himself to be a good player. The problem with Alec Boehm is I don't think he's a good enough player to fill the void for what this team needs of that position. And by the way, neither is Dave Hollins. But I think Dave Hollins fits the category of, you know what he is, he knows what he is, and people just don't expect him to be anything more. My perception is the Phillies organization was thinking and hoping that Boehm could and would be more. And I think that, you know, for Boehm, the fact that I got to double check. I think the most home runs ever hit was 20. It's part of the issue is the home runs, because that position is a position that's known for power, right? Let's see here. Yeah, the most homers ever had is 20. That's what I thought. So you're talking about a guy, his best season was 20 home runs. He's not a guy who is going to put the fear of God into anybody. historically, third baseman, at least, now I'm going to show my age, but, I remember it was Matt Williams, right? When he played for the Giants and for the Diamondbacks, it's these hard-nosed sluggers. Obviously Mike Schmidt's the greatest third baseman of all time, but Scott Rowland was a power hitter in his own right when he came up. You look around the history of baseball, there's Chipper Jones, Hall of Famer. I mean, that guy's a stud. Bobby Bonilla was playing third base for a while. He had a power in his bat. There's tons of guys who, in baseball history, the position was known for putting out a certain level of production, or you were just a great fielder. Okay? The Phillies won a World Series in 2008 because their third baseman was a great fielder, but they got such high-level production from everyone else. Rollins, Utley, and Howard were so great they made up for Pedro Feliz not being the best hitter at third base. Another team I think of often is, the 96 Yankees. Wade Boggs was a singles and doubles hitter. He was basically a glorified leadoff hitter in that lineup, and he would get on base at a high level, but it was okay because you had other sluggers on that team who could pick up the power in the lineup. You had a DH like Darryl Strawberry. You had guys like Paul O'Neill in that lineup. So they didn't need the third baseman to be that level of dude, right? The same thing with the 2004 Red Sox. Bill Mueller was not a great power-hitting third baseman, but they had other guys who were the power hitters. Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz and Jason Varitek could pop one out here and there. When your team is built for the third baseman not needing to be a certain level of player, like the 93 Phillies, you don't need your third baseman to be one of your better hitters. And I think the problem for Bohm is that there's a level of expectation on him because he is 6'5". He was a first-round pick in, what was it? It was either 2018 or 2019 MLB draft, but he was like the third overall pick. So, there's a perception of him that big kid, he looks like he has the frame to be a great player. He has the tools, the intangibles, and then you don't get a certain level of production out of him, and you're just kind of feel let down. And I think that's the problem with Bohm. I don't think Bohm is actually a bad player, and I'm not advocating for him to get traded either. I just think that on a team where only 2 of your 9 hitters have been consistently giving you anything for the last 2 months, Bohm was a bit of a sore spot. Joey D. and Ventnor chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, it's a rough slide, long season. The Braves are sliding as well while the Mets are surging. Take the good with the bad, get back to better batting approaches. The Phillies will be a wild card team. That's from Joey D. and Ventnor. Well, the last time they were a wild card team was when they went to the World Series. So it's not like you have to win the division to win a championship. I totally understand that. It's probably going to be a lot easier just because you don't have as difficult of a path to get to the World Series. But I hear where you're coming from, Joey. It's the idea that it is a long season. But you don't want to have a Phillies team with a dubious distinction of being the first team since 2019 to lose 9 out of 10 games. That Phillies team is the reason why Gabe Kapler got fired. You fired him because you had a team that you thought might have some promise, and he was not the right man for the job. He could not do the job as a manager at the level with that ball club as you hoped for, and you let him go. Now, if you want to argue those teams and those rosters were flawed, you could do that. But I get what you're saying. Take the good with the bad. I'm doing my best, Joey D. and Ventnor. But I'm not going to ignore the fact that I've given $100 million to Nick Castellanos, and he's underperformed. I've given $10 million for 1 year to Max Kepler, and he ain't playing like it. I got a center field platoon that is underwhelming, and that's a nice way of putting it. I have a second baseman who's been disappointing. I only have one guy with serious power numbers this year, and JT Realmuto's bat has regressed. Dan, for me, she says, I would say the upside for the Phillies season is they're only a couple of acquisitions away from being contenders, not pretenders. I don't disagree with you, Danny Ichi, but the question is going to be who you're going to trade. Right? You know, I've talked about Mick Abel. Is Mick Abel the main guy that can get you something? Is he the centerpiece of a trade to get you a player or two? Or are you keeping him? What about Crawford? What about Aiden Miller? What about Rincones? What about Eduardo Tate, the young catcher who's like 19, 20 years old in the minor league system? There's all kinds of players that could be part of a trade package. And then with all of those names, if you get a new center fielder, what do you do with Marsh and Rojas? If you get a new left fielder, what do you do about Kepler? If you get a new second baseman or an infielder in general, what do you do about your current infield? I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer, but I'm just saying you're saying a couple of acquisitions. Well, what are those acquisitions? Because you could argue during this losing streak, it's not the bullpen that's killed you. It's the offense. You lose 2-1 3 times in the last 5 losses. That is a clear sign. To me, that this team does not have enough depth in the lineup. So whether you add a center fielder, a left fielder, or whatever position, what are you doing with the guys you already have? I'm not saying there's a clear answer. I'm just saying that is part of what solving the problem has to come down to. If we're going to solve this problem, then we got to do it in a way that's going to add up to the result that we want. Now, I'm not going to dwell a long time on this text, okay? But over at 609-403-0973, if you guys ever notice, I don't read a lot of negative text. If you follow me on social media, at Josh Hennig on the X platform, at Joshua S. Hennig on Instagram, I don't respond to a lot of negative stuff. I don't respond to a lot of the trolls and the vitriol out there because I just find it a waste of my time. But I think this text is a perfect example because there's no foul language in it. There's nothing, ultra hyper aggressive in any like violent sense or anything. It's just someone who doesn't like what I'm saying. But instead of jumping on their phone or however you're contacting the show, we appreciate you listening on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank, Seattle, and live as always on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios of Atlantic City. Nick from South Jersey texts in and says, you need to quit being such a drama queen. Now, he has something else to say that we're not going to read on the radio because now we're reaching into a whole level of unnecessary discord that is reserved for drunk men at a bar. But you need to stop being such a drama queen. The problem with someone like Nick from South Jersey or somebody who tweets at me or messages me, I had someone try to jump in my DMs last week and I just deleted it. When people say certain things, they can't tell you why you're wrong. They can't explain why they disagree with you. They just want to call you names. Okay? And all I think of is the line when a famous person says the person who calls you names is the person who should have no name. So, Nick from South Jersey, I appreciate you listening, but I say do better. And we'll leave it at that. 609-403-0973. Andrew in Summers Point follows up and says, I finally feel like we have a really good farm system, but we don't have enough good that would make it up the work to bring the farm up to the major league system. He says, there's no Bregman, no Alonso. The Phillies staff did this. We didn't improve, and everyone else did all around us. That is probably one of the best points made today from Andrew Summers Point. A good job by you. there were guys available in free agency who fit the profile of what would have helped your team. Alec Bregman. Now, Bregman's injured now, so maybe that wouldn't have worked out as we would have hoped. But Pete Alonso is arguably the best hitter for the Mets this year. You look at the Mets, how they have played this year, and you realize real quick that Juan Soto might have gotten the contract of all time in terms of dollars, but the stud of that team is Pete Alonso. You know, Pete Alonso leads the National League in RBI. He leads the National League in doubles. He has more home runs and more RBI and a better batting average than Juan Soto. And he's 4 years older than him. But even more importantly for the Phillies, he's a right-handed bat. And Bryce Harper clearly told multiple reporters. He told it to Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic. He told it to Todd Zalecki of MLB.com. He said, Pete Alonso is the kind of guy that I would have changed positions for. He said, Pete Alonso was the kind of guy that I went to the organization. Harper said he went to the front office and said, yo, man, that Pete Alonso is still out there. He would look real good in a Phillies uniform. And the organization said no. That is a perfect example. And I thank you, Andrew and Summers Point for bringing that up. Because that is a clear and distinct example of what the Phillies could have done, but they didn't. Because I tell you right now, do you think the Phillies offense is struggling as much as it is if Pete Alonso was in it? Now, you might have had some concerns or questions about the defense still. You might have still had some concerns and questions about center field. You might still have some concerns and questions about Bryson Stott's future and the Phillies' future in second base. And you might still have some thoughts and concerns and questions about the bullpen. But can you imagine how differently we would all feel today if Pete Alonso was slugging in the middle of our lineup, and how Philly fans would be, even if Alonso is not batting 300. Let's say he ends up batting 288 instead of 300. And instead of having 20 doubles, he's got 15. And instead of 61 RBI, let's say he has 48. Okay, let's say the numbers are a little less. You took a guy from the Mets, and he looks real good in your lineup. And he's right-handed. It's a win, win, win across the board. Oh, my goodness. Jeff from OC follow-up says, yes, it was 2018 when the Phillies selected Bohm third overall in the MLB draft. It was 2018. Wow. So that means Bohm has been in this organization now for, what is that, 7 years at this point. And his best 2 years, the last two, he couldn't hit more than 20 home runs. He had 97 RBI each year. And he didn't bat better than 280. If you hit 280 with 20 home runs and 97 RBI, yes, you are an all-star. But I need Bohm to either be more than just a run-of-the-mill all-star, or I need the organization to upgrade other positions around him so we're not looking at him and criticizing him and critiquing him so aggressively. Because I do think that you have a situation who you have a situation where I think Bohm can be a part of a winning team, but I don't think he has to be the centerpiece of a lineup. And I think that's where the problem is. If Bohm, by the building of your roster, like right now, your team is Schwarber, Harper, Turner. Those are your big three. Most nights, Bohm is your fourth best hitter. That's where the problem is. So now, instead of him being your fourth best hitter, if he was your fifth or sixth best hitter, then you got a great fifth or sixth best hitter. But right now, he's barely good enough to be your fourth best hitter, and he's only that guy because Nick Castellanos has had one good season since he got to Philadelphia. And frankly, the roster was not built very well. All right, I'll get to my text on the other side. I see Stephen EHT chiming in at 609-403-0973. We got your text. I got a follow-up from Cole from LBI. Cole, I got to read this a little more closely during the break. I don't want to misread what you're saying because I think that I'm reading it incorrectly. So let me read it during the break, and then we'll get to it on the other side. By the way, Phillies game is underway. Top of the first inning, Zach Wheeler on the mound. Let's see how he does. I'm curious to see how Zach Wheeler does because his last start has probably been a bad taste lingering in his mouth for a long time now after that Braves loss. Oh, man, that's a borderline. Wow, he is fortunate they called that. See, they called it a foul ball off the hitter, but that was eerily close to the hitter's hands. It obviously, in slow motion, hit off the knob of the bat, foul, but you could argue that if they would have called that a little differently, they might have said it was a hit ball, but he got the strikeout anyway. It's good for Wheeler. All right. Coming up next, more your text, 609-403-0973, your DMs into 973 ESPN, mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, and we are live as always on my YouTube channel, at Josh Hennig.
This is the NBA Finals.
SGA, a long three on its way, and good for the NBA's MVP.
The Thunder respond and tie the Pacers at 1. Now the series shifts to Indianapolis.
If you're Indiana, there's no need to panic. You got one. You came there to get one, and you got one.
Game 3 of the Pacers and Thunder. Coverage begins Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern, with tip-off at 8:30 Eastern.
Listen to the NBA Finals, Game 3, exclusively on 97.3 ESPN.
For over 135 years, First Bank of Sea Isle City has proudly served Cape May County with a commitment to maintaining a hometown feel. We provide secure, convenient deposit and loan products every day. We're more than just a bank. We're a trusted community partner, offering personalized banking solutions that make life easier for local families of all ages. First Bank of Sea Isle City. Look for our lighthouse in your neighborhood and discover what makes us different.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
They say no two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app with over 16 million subscriptions sold? Well, we thought of you. All of you. Take Sierra. She's an artist and absolutely a visual learner. She's doing a deep dive into our Babbel wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Malcolm is very much a type A, say it to my face, listening learner. So he checks with Babbel's speech recognition to make sure that accent?
Precio.
Keith's a real people person and a curious learner. So he loves Babbel's Culture Bites, full of insights and native knowledge about the language he's learning. Like what's served for Christmas dinner in Germany?
Glühwein, Weihnachtsgans und Christmasstollen.
Wherever you are, however you learn, Babbel is the best choice to break any language barrier. Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is nice because you can just keep doing you. So keep on using that broken phone charger because it occasionally works. Keep quoting something you heard on a podcast as your own. Keep ignoring your sister's texts while you drive and after. And when baggage claim says, have a great trip, keep on saying, you too. And keep driving safely. And you could save with Snapshot from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What?
What? All the budget has to be used now? And we can use all the media buy?
Javier's marketing firm just got its dream funding.
Okay, ideas. Bobbleheads. No. T-shirt cannon. I seriously need some help here.
He needs to find marketing managers who are worth every dollar.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Sponsoring a job on Indeed gives it a visibility boost so you can hire faster. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
The Piccalilli Inn in Shamong invites you for fun times in the Pines on the Pic Patio. Stop by for the game and order up their world-famous wings, an ice cold beer, or fun selection of fresh-made cocktails on a sunny afternoon or by the fire under a starry night. Skip the lane change. Get off the beaten path and take the trip to the family-owned Piccalilli Inn this weekend. Route 206, Shamong.
If you can't stop in, stop back. The Piccalilli Inn.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins.
Join the millions of people who are celebrating going hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. Footwear you just step into and they're on.
It's crazy how something as simple as a pair of shoes have made my life better.
After trying Skechers Slip-ins, I want all my shoes to have this technology.
See what everybody can't stop talking about. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
The Home Depot has fast, free delivery on the perfect gift to help Dad do more this Father's Day. Because Dad is more than just a dad. He's groundskeeper of the yard, the perfecter of the patio, and the cleaner of the clippings. Power Dad's doing with Ryobi cordless outdoor power tools from the Home Depot. Like the Ryobi 40-volt string trimmer kit for $159. For everything Dad is, find the perfect gift at the Home Depot. Subject to availability, see homedepot.com/delivery for more details.
7 year game night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
By the way, shout out to Cole from LBI. He tried to clarify his text, and don't say sorry, Cole from LBI. Okay, you know sometimes you hear something and you just like rapidly start texting, and then you hit send before you realize how it got typed out. But I got the gist of what you were saying. So Cole from LBI was saying that Dombrowski was not trying to spend big money this offseason because he already gave huge contracts to Nola, Turner, Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, JT, and Wheeler. And the Phillies were trying to stay out of the tax threshold, and that if they would have signed Alonso, could have pushed them into that threshold. So, totally valid point from Colby LBI. My two counters to that are, one, it's not that the Phillies are, because John Middleton has already said he doesn't care about the tax threshold. I think the larger concern for the Phillies was they were trying to address left field specifically and the starting rotation this offseason. And you're right, they have already spent a lot of money. But you know how sports work. There are ways around this stuff. And look, if the Phillies could have found the trade partner that would have taken on a player or a contract, they could have signed Pete Alonso, would have been no problem. I think the bigger issue was that the Phillies just didn't think it was. I don't think the Phillies actually thought that was the real issue. I think it was something else. I want to get to Steve from EHT. He says, where does Harper play if Alonso came over? He can't DH because of Schwarber, unless you mean the trade Schwarber. So I think the plan would have been, because Harper said he would have gone back to the outfield. So Steve and EHT, I think in Harper's mind, again, I'm going off what Harper told Ken Rosenthal and, what's his name? Todd Zalecki. He told them that he thinks that Harper thought he would go to the outfield. So I guess that means he would play left field or right field. We would have had to figure that out, and that Alonso would have played first base, and Schwarber would have stayed DH. Phil chimes in. He asks, what are your thoughts on the Stanley Cup Final? Dude, the Stanley Cup Final is nuts, okay? Because I never thought in my wildest dreams that this series would be playing out the way it is. Draisaitl for Edmonton and Sam Bennett for Florida are playing just out of their gourds right now. They are playing at an absolute high level. I mean, you have 2 games going overtime. Could you ask for anything more? What's the line from Gladiator? Are you not entertained? I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Catch you tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN.
Town Square Media has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Get these great deals today. Get a $50 gift card for just $25 at the Ravioli House or Tennessee Avenue Beer Hall. Get these great deals right now at seizethedeal.com. Don't wait any longer. Chances are these deals will sell quickly. For more info on these great deals, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com.
Flounder season is gearing up, and the one stop for everything you need is the bait and tackle shop at Utch's Marina in historic Cape May. Come to Utch's for a huge selection of flounder spinning and conventional rods and combos for the boat or the surf, with top name brands available like Penn, Tsunami, Ocean Max, Shimano, and more. Only at Utch's Marina, your home away from home at the foot of the bridge in Cape May. Check out the half-off sale going on right now. Live bait, frozen bait, rods and reels, lures too. Visit Utch's today. Bait and tackle shop, open daily.
Surprise! Your expenses this month were way higher than you expected! Also, you forgot to renew your website domain and now you're in a bidding war!